Hello everyone. So this one is a quick introduction to Fetch API, and this Fetch API is a very important part of our discussion during the week. So if you see that here also, because we'll be discussing in our coming lecture when we are creating a REST API, so we can use this publicly available crackres.in, and we will be just using that one. So I wanted to give you a just quick introduction of how to work with that Fetch API by considering a simple environment. So this will be a very simple, this is a very simple environment over here. I have got a folder where I've got these two files, only index.html and script.js. So it's just for the introduction of that particular thing. And also what I'm doing is that I'm running a local server, like, an HTTP server. I don't need to run Express right now because I'm just giving you the quick introduction of this Fetch API. And hopefully when we'll be done, you will very clearly know that what this API is all about, and how do we just basically, work with that, and how we can extract data, how we can put data, how we can post data, and things like that. So we'll be just looking at every aspect of it. So now it is running, and let me see that. So yes, server is running, and now we have got just three, as I said, this index.html, which just said Fetch API, and it's using Fetch API. So we are just taking this example, right? So this script file is connected here. So I will just go to my script file, and what I do is that how I can use that is this Fetch API I can use, and that is the address for this, request.in/API/users. So what this Fetch API does for us is that it provides us this facility of checking our API. It gives us this ability to work with the APIs, to develop APIs, to test APIs, and document APIs, and things like that. So we need to see that what this fetch basically brings here. So if I just console.log this fetch over here and see what's going on and what it is basically returning, let me just save that, and our server is already running, So what I'll see is that I go to inspect and I go to console. So you see here, what is that? It basically returns a promise, right? So it returns a promise, and you are quite familiar with the promises with our old discussions. But again, I'll just give you a quick review of that as well. That promise has certain state which is either fulfilled, or it's it's either accepted or rejected a promise. So it's basically Fetch API. When we run this API, it gives us what? A promise. We cannot see its data, of course. So how we can just look at its data? So I'll just comment it out so that you have these lines of code also in front of you. So if I just comment it out, and what I want to do is that I want to have, for example, check whether fetch HTTPS, right? So I'm just writing that once more. After that, I'll just start copying it. API users, right? And then since it is returning a promise, so we can just work on this then. So the response that we receive from this promise, we want to just do what? Console.log the response. I hope now you are familiar with all this syntax, right? So what I'm doing is that I'm just running this fetch command, Fetch API, and using this reqres, and I want to bring all the users, and then whatever is coming as a response, I'm just printing out that response on my console. If I save this one, and if I go back here, and if you see here, that you see that it is basically providing us a response that gives us a lots of things, right? So there are there is this is the body of the response. Let's go and check that one. Okay, so interesting. It returns a readable stream. It means that it is something that we need to work on. We need to convert that readable stream into a JSON. So the JSON is one of the data format that we use for bringing up the data, for sending up the data, and things like that. So it basically returns the data in a readable stream form, which of course is not useful for us. So what we want to do, and we will just talk about this course as well, and we will see that what is that cross browser things. Now, if it is basically returning a data over here, so it means that I need to convert this the response into the JSON. So our response.json, I'll convert that one, right? And then since this is also, as I said, that now what I'll do is that now I'll accept this as a data, and I can print that, like I can just console that data to see whether now we can see the data or not. So now we have done what? We have just converted the data, the response that has been received, into the JSON. And after that, again, we have used another then when this data is received to what? You just, you have to just. So what we do is that if you see here that what we have done, like we have just taken this response and we are just converting that into JSON. And then after that JSON, then when we have converted, we are just getting back that response over here, and we are just logging that out. So if you see the output over here, you see that it's returning us the data, right? So it has got it's returning all the users. There are 5 users over there: George Bluff, Janet Weaver, Emma Wong, and things like that. And it is just returning everything over here, what is related to those users. So now what it has done is that it is just basically returning us the data that was supposed to come from the users, right? So it means that you need to convert data into the response that is coming. You need to convert that response into the JSON. So now you see that there are 4, 5 or 6 users. If I go and if I say I want to access user number 29, for example, which of course will not be there. Let's see what it does, because that user does not exist. So if you see what it does, it says failed to load resource. The server responded with a status of 404. This object is said there is nothing inside that. Why? Because that user does not exist. And what about the legitimate users? For example, if I say 2, and 2 might be, of course, that 2 would be one of the user that we have. So if you see here that it is coming up with the data, and if I just see that what is that data about, it is just sending me this data, and it says that's avatar, this email is Janet Fever, first name is Janet, ID is U2, so things like that. So if that data does not exist, of course, what it is doing, it is giving us the error, of course, and it should give the error. If I do that, and if I look at it, and you see here that it says that user 29 is a 404. I cannot find this data from over there, right? So if that is happening, we can do what we will be just introducing another of the generic syntax that we generally use. And what is that? Is that catching the error, right? So we need to catch the error, and we will just see what we will just print that error. So over here, so we wanted to just display that error 0. Where 0 has come from, right? So if I save this one, and I again go and run this. Okay, so it still says, I save that one. All right. So I need to do one more thing. Of course, I just need to check that whether the response is okay or not. Of course, I want to just display this message. So I will just do what? I will just return, or I will just remove this one from here. All right. So instead, what I do is that I'll create a block of code. And here I'll check that if response.okay, right? So if response is coming okay, what do I have to do? I have to just console.log success, right? And else, if that is not the case, what you do is that console.log the console not successful, right? It's not successful or something like that. So let's run this one and then check what it is doing. So if you see here that on one side, of course, it is giving get 20 node not found, but on the other hand, it is just giving us that not success error, right? So that is what it's basically running. It's like it's going to request that 129, but it's not finding that, and it says that not found. So if I just convert it to a legal record, which is over there in our API, I want to check that one. So you say success, and here it says undefined, and we'll see that one why it is not just displaying that typical thing, but again, it's giving us the success message, and that success message shows us that we have got the record, and the response was okay by that. Like again, there is something that has been received, but of course we have not just worked on that, and we want to if we want to just display that. Now what we do, that there are certain optional parameters also with fetch. Like fetch, we are only using right now a single parameter with this fetch, but this fetch has some certain optional parameters also. What does that mean? It means that, for example, if I want to do a post request, right? It's basically what we have done. These all are the get requests that we are doing, right? So if I want to make a post request, for making a post request, what I'll do is that I'll just come here, remove that one. Like I'm not asking any typical user over here, and here I'll just give a curly braces. So now what I'm doing is that I am just passing some values to that. Why? Because I want to post that one, right? I want to post that. So I will just do that, and what I can do is that I can say method, and method is post, and the body, what body I want to just send, I will say that, for example, name equal to Alan, for example, right? I want to send this name is equal to Alan, and typically what I'll do is that I just readable, and here I will just not check this one. Rather, what I'll do is that I will say return res.json, right? I will just return the JSON data to the required, right? And then we are saying that we can just show that data, so make it also more readable, and then we can just catch error as well. So now let's check that one. And what I'm saying is that now we are basically testing out the post method, or the posting of the data. So if I go here in my program and I check over here, we go to users. Okay, so it's this invalid shorthand property initializer. Interesting. Looks like I've just missed out something. Okay, so the fetch method starts from here, and it goes all the way to looks like it is right, correct? Let me just check that. Okay, so it says invalid shorthand property. Let me just see what is going. Okay, so this is not supposed to be equal to, right? So it always disturbs you a lot. Anyhow, so now let's check it and refresh. Okay, so now we can see that this is now it has been basically it is trying to add a record, but can you experience something that the name is missing? Name means the name Alan I have given to that. So it's posting something, it's trying to post something, but that post is not properly being made. And why it has not been made? I am just sending this data in as is form. Rather, I need to do what? I need to just work on that, and I need to stringify that. So if you are familiar with the stringify concept, we need to just stringify our object, our data, before sending it to the server. So if I do that, let's check this one now. Still not sending that. So still it's not working, right? Okay, so I remember. So why it's not working still? Because we need to send some headers as well. So please remember that if you want to send something like that, if you want to post something, we need to have another property of it, and that is called headers. So I'll just discuss that important thing about header. Just place a comma and these headers. And in headers, what we do is that we say content type, and please remember, whenever you are sending JSON data, you have to mention this JSON over here, right? And this comma, hopefully now it should work. Still it was not working. So you see here, now it is saying name is equal to Alan, ID is equal to whatever created at the time, whatever it is giving, and then as well as it is just giving that ID is equal to 184, name is equal to Alan. So it has just posted that data, and for posting that data, what it has done, it's basically, as I said, that we need to settle few things. Whenever we are sending our data, we need to stringify that data, right, in a particular value, like into JSON. And then what we do is that we send that data typically. Also, alongside that, we need to send headers. And in headers, when you are sending this JSON data, you will have to just, mention that header type is equal to, just content type is equal to application slash JSON. So this is basically a quick introduction of JSON and the API. And let me just show you that API as well. If I show you rackres.in, so this is the API. So if you see that, test your front end against a real API. So this is a real API free provided. It has fake data, right? And then real responses. We can just work on get, put, post, and we'll see in our coming lecture that how we'll be just working on that. Always on 24/7 free access in your development phases, right? And a hosted REST API ready to respond to your AJAX request. So it will be just working on our AJAX requests. Why? Because we'll be just making those AJAX requests. And here they've given this example that whenever you will be just working on that, how you will access a single user, how will access a single user not found, what will happen if you ask for a list or something. So it is basically giving us all those examples. So this is one quick introduction of this rackres in this fetch API. I'm just repeating for that this fetch https rackres.in API users will try to fetch all the users. We know that we have done that, and whenever users are coming back, what we do is that we try to just access those users. To access those users, what we do is that we use that then format. If you have seen that, like this one. And why we use that? Because this is the promise being returned from that, and we want to work on that promise, and we work on a way that basically that if you want to just display them, we need to work on this dot then of that. Not only that, rather you need to just convert that data into response.json as well, and then you will be just saving that data. So as I said, this is a quick introduction of like our lecture for the week, and I hope you will be now comfortable with this rackres API, and now you understand the working of this rackres API, because now we can understand that this rackres API works in that way. When you have to post something, when you have to put something, we'll be just looking at few of the examples in this week's lecture. We can see that we have got certain this kind of like we'll be just trying to create these routes, and in these routes we'll be just implementing this rack.json. So that's why I've just given you a quick introduction of that. So let's meet in our next session. Thank you very much.